Thank you very much for tuning in to Pro Life Nova Scotia. My name is John Michael. I just, I want to see this, an end to the taxpayer-funded abortion. I mean, if there is no other government in the history of humanity that has. First of all, they're denying medical science, right? The law is denying medical science. The law is denying the evidence, right? The law is denying the evidence. So that's the problem there. And what this problem creates is that they will, and it's the first, you know, instance in humanity where this kind of nonsense has happened, where they fund the destruction of their future with taxpayer revenue, right? The tax revenue was funding the destruction of the future. So I had to leave that kind of nonsense. I left the Nova Scotia. I left Nova Scotia. I'm a Nova Scotia resident. I have a Nova Scotia birth certificate, whatever that is. So, and you don't have a uterus. You don't have a right to. I'm 50% the dad. 50% of the dad of the child that was lost. So I lost a child. I'm missing a 10-year-old. So yeah, I have a right to talk about this. Pro-life. I have a right to talk about this. And I'm certainly going to entertain any kind of, one of the nonsense arguments. I suppose I could do that. I have a little bit of time for that. But the reason that I entertain nonsense arguments is because I just want to. It's it's a little bit of a guilty pleasure of mine is that these people, they are publicly displaying their ignorance, a public display of ignorance, right? They are going on this social media and they're putting out nonsense about, the implantation is the starting of a pregnancy. And you can clearly see the facts are that no, the conception is the starting of life. There's a new DNA. The pregnancy is not started at the implantation. That's such as a normal stage of development. Or they will say such a nonsense as, we should stop wasting of sperm, right? Sperm, let's say, for example, the sperm is wasted, then we should stop that because that's killing too. All right, so that's nonsense. We know that the sperm and the egg will meet, and then that's where the baby is born. I mean, these people are, and I mean, it's a guilty pleasure of mine because I like to basically have them embarrass themselves, where you can just easily correct them, easily rebuke that nonsense, and they will just continue with their false belief, even though they have been corrected. So they are making a mockery out of their own selves. And I got to stop doing that because that's a little bit of a guilty pleasure of mine. But you know that these people are just, they have a flawed sense of reasoning, and they are publicly displaying that flawed sense of reasoning, right? So that's the point. These feminists and all this stuff, and these, beta males and all this stuff, they will come forth with this type of nonsense arguments. All right, so that's a little bit of a guilty pleasure of mine, is that to allow people to make a fool of themselves, right? And I just, I shouldn't take so much time to. I should just not bother with that. I did talk a little bit about this here, but the point is, should we file this? Should we file this? Well, there's discovery, right? The discovery, right? So that's the point. So when you file a lawsuit, you either file it for money, or for example, there would be a criminal indictment or whatever. But let's say, for example, you file an action for declaratory relief, right? A declaratory judgment. That means that you want accountability and all this stuff, but you don't necessarily. I don't really necessarily want the money. I don't really care about the money. I just care about the courts accepting the truth or the evidence or whatever. But I mean, is that really important to me? No, I don't really care about that because I know, everybody knows. Anybody watching this YouTube channel here will know. But there's always the discovery, right? So discovery is my favorite part, where you can just allow, let's say, for example, we were to just get Dr. Michelle Dow on, let's say, for example, it would be at a hotel or something. There's a conference room in the hotel. You book the hotel, and then you can get a conference room, and you get the microphones up, and you can record. Do I really want to do that? All right. Yes and no. Right? Yes and no. There's a whole bunch of questions here. Did the College of Physicians and Surgeons of Nova Scotia open an investigation following the filing of a complaint? When did you become aware of the complaint? Did you receive an official notice of the complaint directly from the college? On what day did you receive that notice? And she has to produce the files too. And then all the files will say, okay, I prescribe birth control to this person. Like should I put her through that? I mean, yes, I should. Am I going to? No, probably not. Informed consent and more. Let's ask some questions right now. Do you believe that prescribing a medication that may prevent implantation of a fertilized egg requires a different or higher standard of informed consent than for other medications? Let's ask that wonderful question again. I want you to understand this question here. Do you believe, let's say this is a doctor, right, prescribing birth control, abortifacient birth control. Do you believe that prescribing a medication that may prevent implantation of a baby, a fertilized egg, requires a different or higher standard of informed consent than for other medications? She deceives the young lady into paying for her own abortion, right? So, yes, of course it requires a higher standard of informed consent, right? She has to sit there and say, listen, there's a 50 or more percent or whatever percent chance, there is not a 100% chance that it will be, the ovulation will be suppressed. There's not a 100% chance that the ovulation will be suppressed, right? She needs to explain that. She needs to explain that the baby will be conceived. There will be a successful pregnancy. The viability of this pregnancy is, the pregnancy is viable, I should say. But the baby will be lost because of the altered endometrium. Right, so there is a chance that you will be pregnant and the baby will die. So what this pill does is it's an abortifacient. That means you will be pregnant and then congratulations, you're a mother, right? You are a mother. But the baby died because of this pill, right? So a higher standard of informed consent. These girls are 15, 16, 17 years old taking these birth control pills. Do you think they understand that? Well, they certainly would. They should empower themselves with knowledge. That's what true women's rights advocates are. I am truly a women's rights activist. Truly, because I will always. What is empowering for the woman to enjoy a lifestyle of debauchery and go to work for some boss that doesn't care about her? No. What really empowers a woman really is to keep your knickers on, and to be informed about this type of. Is it a drug? Well, I don't know what it is. I don't know what I can call it. It's not a medication. It's certainly not a medicine. Because medicine cures illnesses. What is the problem here with this young lady? Natural fertility? Is that a problem? Is that a medical problem that needs correction? The natural fertility of a woman, right? And you go to Canada. Basically, every girl's on this. Every girl. You go to another country. You ask the girls, well, are you on this birth control? They say, no. What are you talking about? I've never gone on that stuff. All right, so there's a problem specifically with Canada, and specifically with Dr. Michel Dow poisoning these young women's minds. Deceiving, taking advantage of their ignorance. I guarantee 100%. The only thing that they believe is that the birth control pill prevents pregnancy by suppressing ovulation. Period. So that is a lie. That is a lie. That is 100% a deception, a trickery, right? Did the patient ever ask you whether the prescribed drug could end a very early human life or affect a newly conceived embryo? If she had asked, would you have told her that such an outcome was possible? So what do we need, to have a pen camera, like a secret camera, and to send a decoy to get some? I mean, what kind of nonsense? We know it's trickery, we know it's deception, we know that she's a mass murderess. So why are we, number one, not indicting her? Because the Canadian system's not agreeing with medical science. Why are we not certifying this class action so that the people that lost children, a wrongful death, can be entitled to, compensation, right? Compensatory damages, right? This is fair. It's a fair argument. Oh, because the law doesn't agree with Canadian law doesn't agree with medical science. Can I at least get a declaratory judgment? Just a no, we cannot get a declaratory. That's. You see why I'm getting crazy? Do you see? Do you see why I'm getting crazy with this? Because this is the definition of folly. It's the definition of folly. I mean, how? And it's the number one issue, right? It's life, and these people killing the most precious thing. Like I said, from the top of the mountain to the highest clouds to the deepest trench in the ocean, there's nothing more valuable than the embryo, and that's the number one thing they want to destroy the most. Oh man. Am I passionate? Am I? Maybe I'll speak dispassionately for a minute. I'll speak dispassionately because maybe, if I don't, people will not understand. This person's a murderess. This person's an extremely dangerous woman, and she belongs in the prison for 25 years without the possibility of parole for 25 years, without the possibility of parole for at least 25 years, right? So it's a life sentence without the possibility of parole for 25 years. Concurrent, right? Each count, each child that she killed, according to Canadian law, at the sentencing guidelines, you cannot have a consecutive sentence there, but we're not, what is the Canadian law? It's been brought into disrepute, right? The Canadian law has been brought into disrepute. If this is not evidence that the Canadian law has been brought into disrepute, and, I wouldn't mind going to law school and being, a practitioner of the law. I would. I mean, that would be, interesting to me. I think I would maybe like that kind of job, but how can I do that, right? Unless I do some sort of boring job like property or something, I probably do that. But why? I have a passion. For life and these incredible injustices that are happening throughout the world. Oh, so what are you apply to the International Criminal Court and all this stuff? The UN, right? Maybe they're influenced by the same kind of. So we should do what? Create an international tribunal? Well, maybe that's what we'll talk about in the next video.